Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage and the XM project. Today I'm going to attempt to fix the brakes on the XM because right now it's very difficult to move this car because although it does start and drive, it doesn't stop at all because the brakes are not binding at all, but they are not working either. The reason why they don't work is there is no brake shoes or brake pads in it. So that's one thing to fix, of course. But what we have decided to do, remember this is not my car, this is a project of Bilklubben podcast. They actually made a video about this in my garage the other day. There will be a link in the description. It is possible to put on subtitles. I think they are auto-generated in English, but it will work just fine. So if you want to watch that, then go ahead and watch that video. They decided to go ahead and change all brake calipers, all brake discs, and all brake pads. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Hopefully I will be able to reuse the brake lines. Although some places are slightly surface rusty, I'm going to clean that up. If there are any pittings left after that, then I can't use them. But if I can clean them up, I will just reuse them if I can remove them. So that is going to be very exciting. What I want to do first is to attempt to loosen up the brake nipple or the brake line. This is actually the day after the first shot in this video, and I gave it a lot of penetrating oil yesterday. So hopefully I will be able to loosen it up, but it is going to be tough. I'm going to apply some heat to the aluminum on the brake caliper now. There is liquid in this, of course. I'm not going to apply a lot of pressure because I don't want any blowout. But I'm going to give it a bit of heat just to give it a better chance. I will have to try with a vice grip because the size is slightly smaller due to corrosion, so it won't grab right. I am not too optimistic about this. Oh yeah, it's loose. Nice. Now I just need to loose the pipe inside of it so it doesn't twist. And you know what? The way I'm going to do that is by removing the caliper and then spin the caliper to begin with. That will give me the best chance to get it off. And this gives me a chance to show off this one. From the sponsor of Seaside Garage, this is a big impact gun. It's a lot stronger than the old one I had. And it's also adjustable. So we've got different power settings down here. One really nice thing is it's possible to set it to a mode where it will crack the bolt loose. But as soon as the bolt loosens up, it will just stop spinning. That will make sure that you doesn't zip them out and by mistake loosening the part completely. So by doing like this, it will just stop by itself when it's loose. I really like that. You see that? As soon as it moves, it will just stop. That's nice. And there's a lot of power on this one. It's a weird caliber because it's split in two. So right now it will actually come apart. It doesn't really matter because we're going to change it. But anyway, just so you know. Well, let's try to wiggle this free. Like that. And then by grabbing that, I should be able to just spin the entire caliper. Like that. The rubber came off with it also. I should actually have bought new ones of these, but I didn't. Yeah, this is not going well because, look at this, it snapped off. I was worried that might happen. I was actually kind of expecting that to happen. I was just hoping it was in better condition than it looked like, but we will need to make another pipe for this. There's not much we can do about that now at least. Next up, let's remove the disc. So I'm gonna install the disc, but I can't go much further on the rear brakes, on this side at least, because I don't have the tool to make those brake line flares. And you might think that sounds a little bit weird if you consider how many cars I have in my garage and all my projects. But Citroens are different than all other brands, so the normal brake flare tool will not be good enough. So I am not going to be able to go further on this before my tool arrives, and I hope it will arrive within a couple of days, hopefully. But it's on its way. I decided to buy it myself because I just have a lot of Citroens. So I'm not going to be able to go further on this side because putting the caliper on now would be a bad idea because I wouldn't have room enough to fix it. I really hope that the line is long enough for me to make a new flare on it, but we'll find out later on. On the other side, I did manage to change it. So on this side we got new disc, new brake calipers and new pads, and I was able to reuse the old line. The union is slightly worn, but it's working, so it's good enough. I have developed a new leak right there. I need to find a catch can. So it is a little bit later, a couple of days actually, because I now have the tool to make those flanges. And I hope to be able to make one to the old pipe. I have just been cleaning away because some of the paint were flaking away and I had to make sure that no rust were serious underneath. So after this I will have to paint the pipe to protect it. But if I can make a new bevel on this pipe and reuse it, it will be a lot easier than to change the entire pipe, because it's pretty complicated, because Citroën on a lot of the models didn't use brake hoses on the rear, so they have a spiral instead on the metal pipe that doesn't fatigue. It's pretty clever actually, but really annoying to change. So if this is possible, then it would be really nice. I have another possible way to fix this, and that is to cut it up here, for instance, and put a connector and a new piece of line after that. That might seem as a bit of a botched job or a hack, but it's actually completely legal. You can just only make one new connection on each line. Otherwise it will be a fail in my country. Only one. It is introducing another possible leak place, so it's of course best not to do it. But if this won't work, then I most likely will do that, because changing the pipe all the way back there over the axle and all the way to the engine bay, but just because of the end, it's just a bit too much, to be honest. I'm just going to cut the pipe clean, and then we're going to make that bevel using this tool that I got now. This is not my tool. My tool is in the mail and it will arrive at some point, but the guy I bought it from Citroën Garage in Denmark, nice place by the way, lent his tool to me so that I could get started, because yeah, the tool is produced in England and currently Brexit is making stuff like that so extremely complicated and slow. So hopefully it will get here at some point, because even though I could loan this, I will need my own tool. Remember, I have a lot of Citroën, so I need that tool. I'm just gonna clean up this hole. And one really important thing when fixing stuff like this that I really often forget is to remember to fit a new screw before making the bevel. Ask me how I know that. Now this is clamping the pipe. Take this one out a bit and flip this one. Like that. and then loosen it up again. And then this should loosen up this one, like that. And now we have a new fine bevel right there. That should be good. And then I need to remember to put a piece of rubber in between right there. Oh yeah, that should be good. It's a nice piece of tool. Can't wait to get my own. Now I'm just going to clean and degrease the pipe and then give it some paint to protect it a bit better. I'm also going to give it some rust protection oil on top of it just to give it a better chance. And it will be fine for many years. But by the way, if you got pitting, rust pitting in a line like this, do not ignore it. It is very, very dangerous. I'll just let it dry for a while. Okay, so it is a while later, so I think it should be possible to bend this into shape without wrecking the paint. Firstly, I need to get it inside of here. And then get it down into that clip over there. On with the disc once again. Yeah, I got some of the paint off anyway, so we'll need to repaint it a bit afterwards. Like that. I'm just gonna give it a lick of paint where I nicked the paint off, and then we are good to go on this corner of the car at least. So let's go ahead and fix up the front brakes. Unfortunately, I have made a mistake. This disc is 22 millimeters wide. This disc is 26 millimeters wide. It's for the model that came out a couple of months later than the version that I have apparently. So I didn't notice that. So I have to order the correct discs. To be honest, it's maybe not really necessary because there's no lip on these. They're just very rusty. So I could either just use the brakes a bit or get it turned or grind it down by machine shop. But I think I'm just going to see what they cost and then order the correct one. So right now I'm only going to change the caliper up here and I put in some brake shoes just to have everything assembled at least, and then do the rest later on. That. This one will be reused, but I'm just going to use a wire wheel to clean it up a bit. Oh, there's actually one brake pad in here. It's not worth a lot though. And then a brand new caliper with a brand new line. It's very nice to, for once, do it like this. Remember, this is not my car. I'm doing this together with Bilklubben podcast, and that means that it makes more sense, or it's actually cheaper to buy new calipers than to use a lot of time to rebuild the old one. And then some new brake shoes. They got anti-rattle pads on the rear. This stuff in here will be greased up once I get the correct brake disc. Like that. So I just noticed that the wire to the wear indicator is not working anymore. So it's not working. I'm actually unsure if it's an MOT fail, but it's of course is fixable. So I just finished up the other side as well, and the XM now got new brakes all around except for the discs on the front. They will arrive at some point, and then I can install them. Next up is to bleed the brakes, but this is a bit special on a Citroën because it's a hydraulic system that powers the suspension, the steering, and the brakes. So you cannot just bleed the brakes by pressing the brake pedal like you do on a normal car, because you will have to have pressure in the system. I think you can do it without the engine running for a while at least, because I think there will be a lot of pressure in the system, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to use the brakes if the car cut out, if you ran out of fuel or something like that. So there gotta be some pressure in the system that makes it possible to brake for a couple of times, maybe a lot of times. I haven't got a paper form manual in this car yet. So I just looked up on the internet and found a small instruction that stated that you had to put the car in high, low, or something like that, suspension, before bleeding the brakes. And also there's some special things that needs to be done on the ABS block to bleed the system. So I'm not going to go any further today because it's very late. And if I start up this V6 engine, then I think I'm going to wake up the house, and that wouldn't be a good idea. So this will be all for this video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.